Hello, everyone. My name is Shane German, the music director at WYCE 88.1 FM in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Today, we are thrilled to welcome into our virtual studio Mike McDuck Olson and Mike Calabrese of Lake Street Dive. Lake Street Dive's wide-ranging taste in pop, rock, R&B, and jazz have blended together to make an impressively cohesive sound, combining retro influences with a contemporary attitude. The members founded the group in 2004 while attending the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston, and features Rachel Price, Mike McDuck Olson, Bridget Carney, Mike Calabrese, as well as their newest member, Aki Burmese, who has been touring a member of the group since 2017. They've toured worldwide, performing major music festivals including Bonnaroo, New Orleans Jazz Festival, Newport Folk Festival, and have played with artists such as Robert Finley, Jack Johnson, Trombone Shorty, among many others. The band is back with a brand new album entitled Obviously, where they continue combining their love of old school funk and soul with feminist and socially conscious messages. Please welcome to WYCE McDuck and Mike Calabrese of Lake Street Dive.
Obviously, we're at the beginning of something. I don't expect you to know where it's gonna go, but I believe we might be all doing something, and I just thought maybe you should know. I've been playing out a lot of hypotheticals in my mind. I've been writing your name down next to mine. Been imagining all the things you and I could do. I've seen all the possibilities in my dreams. You're alone when you should really be next to me. Baby, let's not wait and see. Immediate action isn't necessary. It's a fatal attraction. It's a little scary, but I got a plan of attack, and I'll get us to someday soon. I know it. I got a plan A and I got a plan B, and if it's absolutely necessary, we'll go to plan C. Whatever I gotta do to be with you. I've been playing out a lot of hypotheticals in my mind. I've been writing your name down next to mine. Been imagining all the things you and I could do. I've seen all the possibilities in my dreams. You're alone when you should really be next to me. Baby, let's not wait and see. Nobody can see into the future. Even the weatherman gets caught in the rain sometimes. But I see something in you that I've never seen before, and I can't be sure. No, maybe not, but I think it's worth a shot. Hypothetically, yes. Theoretically, forever. We'll see what happens, but I hope we will never be apart. Hypothetically, yes. Theoretically, forever. We'll see what happens, but I hope we will never be apart. Oh, hypothetically, yes. Theoretically, forever. We'll see what happens, but I hope we will never be apart. Hypothetically, yes. Theoretically, forever. We'll see what happens, but I hope we will never be apart. I've been playing out a lot of hypotheticals. I've been writing your name down next to mine.
I've seen all the possibilities in my dreams. You should really be next to me. Baby, let's not wait and see.
Hello, Hi.
How are you guys doing?
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. Well, we are thrilled to have you here. You're one of our core artists. We absolutely love you in Grand Rapids. You sell out every time you come here to play. You usually play Meyer Gardens. And the new album is phenomenal. It was in our top 10. It's been in our top 10 for weeks. So it's in heavy rotation here. And it's a fantastic new record. Congratulations.
Nice. Thanks so much. Glad you're digging it.
Yeah. Now, for a band that is such a prolific touring band, how have you guys been doing in this past year with a new album that you can't really get out on the road for?
I mean, we've actually been doing a lot behind the scenes with considering that the album was we finished recording right before lockdown began, so we were gonna scramble like mad to get it out on the original release date, which was supposed to be sometime in was it September of last year? September, August. Yeah. So it gave us a little bit more breathing room, obviously, although it was sort of like very shallow, panicked breaths because we didn't know what to do and how to release a record in the new paradigm. But there, we were really active behind the scenes thinking about what we were going to do with the record once we could do something with it. And we did these sort of goofy variety hour streaming shows that kept us busy. So we couldn't all be in the same room together. We couldn't all be on the road with y'all, but we kept busy.
You've kind of changed your approach with this one. The last album you kind of self-produced, but this one you've changed an approach in production. You've used Grammy Award-winning producer Mike Elizondo, who's worked with Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent. He did Fiona Apple's Extraordinary Machine record, Mary J. Blige. What was the thought process in kind of bringing in a different producer and a new set of ears for this album?
We had kind of learned during Free Yourself Up that some of the techniques where we were employing ourselves were, I guess you could say, hip hop oriented techniques, which is very, it's like songwriting and song production are kind of, in our eyes, kind of more mixed in that world. And a lot of it happens in the studio and it's construction based. And you're putting things together, and Free Yourself Up was kind of done in that way. And for the new record, we definitely, just like hip hop, we like good vocals. We love powerful drums. We're a groove based band. So those elements they were at the front of our mind. And at the same time, we wanted to work with someone who was very versed in singers, and Mike Elizondo has worked with, like you said, Fiona Apple. Extraordinary Machine is like one of our, favorite touring albums, and he's worked with Pink and Regina Spektor and all these people. So, and he's also a nerdy jazz bassist, So in a lot of ways, he's like us. He studied jazz and then got into pop music. And he just went the production studio route where we went the, performance touring route. And I think it was kind of like, talking with the president of our label, it was kind of, he made it clear to us. He's like, Mike kind of straddles these worlds that you guys are interested in. And he's easy to work with because Rachel had been working with him on Live From Here with Chris Thiele when that was, still a thing. So it kind of checked all the boxes, and it's always, you're always taking a chance working with someone new. But I think it worked out.
And then you actually made your touring keyboard player, Aki, an official band member. How has that addition kind of changed your approach in the songwriting? And do you guys all reside, where do you all reside, and how do you share ideas? Are you sending things virtually, or when do you have, when it's normal times, do you get together and do songwriting sessions? How do you collectively, because you all have so many hands and so many things, how do you collectively share those ideas
Yeah, we sort of we don't do those songwriting like head together kind of things. We don't do that stereotypical Lennon McCartney sit on opposite beds with guitars and
Right.
bang out A Hard Day's Night.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't know. We've never worked that way. Even when we're together, the methodology is everyone goes into a corner of the room and like whispers into their computer and comes back with an idea. We had been experimenting on Free Yourself Up with a lot of co-writing and sort of like the sort of like grid of everyone has to work with everyone else, and see what they come up with. And when we added Aki into the mixture, not only did it gave us a couple more, really interesting combinations, obviously, but his songwriting voice is really unique and really wonderful. And it just like, I think it elevated us all. He was really comfortable to work in the same way that we worked, which was nice. Like, there was literally one day on tour where we had a day off and he and I were working on a song together and we were in opposite coffee shops on two different sides of the street, like emailing each other and looking to see if the other one got it. He's also just like a wonderful dude to be around and a really easy guy to work with, especially, on tour where, difficult personalities become ever more difficult, I guess. Fortunately, we don't have that problem. So his vibe, just like it just took us all to another level, both in the studio and as songwriters and as a performing band. So we've been really fortunate with him.
It's just this new album. It just has. It starts off just with with Hypotheticals. It's just got a nice groove to it, and it kind of sets the tone for the whole album. Another song that's fantastic on it is Being a Woman. Just a real nice, gender, focusing on gender inequality, but there's just a nice groove to it. His voice is, there's just, I don't know. I think that you guys have really like hit this nice groove, and then with the production as well, on it, it's just a really fantastic record, and we just cannot stop playing it here at the station. There's
Our plan worked.
Yeah, it did. Now, you guys are pretty prolific on side projects too, and I want to talk to you about that because, Mike, you did this really cool album. I think you did percussion and like engineered it. That Bridget did called "Still Flying," and that was one of my favorite records last year because you used all this really cool, like African music from Ghana. Can you talk to me about that record?
Yeah, more specifically, I am on one track.
Okay.
Only. And it was a song she thought I could, lend my skills to. But having heard what she was doing with Ben, traveling to Ghana and working with some musicians even from there, it was, I kind of did my, best impression of what they kind of needed. But, that's another situation where, kind of groove-based production is where it's at.
Oh, I love that record so much. So if you talk to Bridget, tell her I love that record. It's such a great record. And then, Rachel obviously did a wonderful jazz album with Bill Ray. It was Rachel and Bill Ray. And that album was stunning as well. There's another thing that I want to talk to you about, which I think is really interesting. You've started like a foundation called Virtual Lessons for Actual Change. Can you talk to me about that organization?
Yeah, sure. This was, it's kind of perfect timing to talk about it since the Derek Chauvin trial is happening right now. But when George Floyd was murdered, and everybody was at home, we were kind of thinking, it was one of those moments, it's like musicians are, they reflect the times and they also try to feed back into the times. I don't think there's and any musicians that we love that haven't been a part of the zeitgeist of their times, and I think especially as we've grown as songwriters, there's more to write about than love and heartbreak, and you grow up and you start to learn about the world, and so you start to write about the world. And so us having over the years kind of developed a more socially conscious approach to our touring and our discussions and the way we run our business. It's like one of these paralyzing moments when you're stuck at home and you feel something strongly about what you're watching and seeing unfold. And you also know that, you want to get out into the streets, but maybe if you have kids, it's not very safe to do. So what do you do with what you have? These were the questions we kind of, when you're locked down, you need to stay safe and you have a guitar in your hands, what do you do? And you could write a song, and that's good. And we do that. But you can also reach into, just look at what you have. We have a music community. We know a lot of musicians, a lot of great musicians, a lot of musicians people would love to meet and work with. We're stuck at home and we're Zoom masters now. Mm-hmm. We have time on our hands in almost a sign of, if you are safely at home and you don't need to be working for the time being and you can't work, then you are in a privileged position, so all these factors stacked up, and we were like, let's see if we can do anything about this. And so I did a thing where I was just like, hashtag drums for George. I was like, I'm going to give an hour lesson or 2 half-hour lessons each day next week. It was the week after he died. And it was like, I'm going to donate, take a half-hour lesson with me. It's $50 and all the money is going to go to a fund that his family had set up. And it kind of, from there, it was like, well, how about each member of the band does this? And then it was like, how about any musician we know and love does this? And so we sent out emails, and eventually we got a roster of people together. And so, it's a way for, people to study with musicians that they like. And also for us as musicians who don't necessarily make a lot of money, to use our time and our skills to be able to contribute to social justice organizing in a particular way. And so far to date, we've taught over 400 lessons as an organization. We've donated $20,000 to social justice organizations, and we're almost, to our next fundraising goal of $5,000 for the next 2 months, having announced it last week for the new open lesson slots. So if you want a lesson with any of maybe some of us and any of the other musicians on our roster, you can go to that website. And if you're a musician, you can also get in touch with us. And if you want to teach, you can also become a teacher, and we'll put your face up, and you can, say what your time schedule is, and we can make it happen.
Well, the website is on the screen there, Virtual Lessons for Actual Change. I think it's a fantastic effort that you're doing there, especially in the past year. And when I read about it, I wanted to kind of shine a light on it, because I think it's an important work that you're doing, and certainly something I wanted to bring up.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, you guys have been around for, you're going on almost 20 years now. Do you guys, from going to school together, do you ever just kind of look at each other and go, I can't believe we're, we're like, do you ever like go, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this?
Yeah, it is unbelievable. This is literally the longest any of us have done anything.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, we're very fortunate in that way.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you're still doing it, because the new record is amazing. The new album, Obviously, by Lake Street Dive, is out now on Nonesuch Records, one of our favorite labels as well. It's currently in heavy rotation here at WYCE 88.1 FM and available on all streaming platforms and your nearest record store. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it was our pleasure.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
I just wanna love you. worry about the gossip. Do you think that we'll be fine? There ain't no way to stop it, so I won't change my mind.
Oh, I would run away with you any day if we could. But I don't think that running anywhere would do us any good. We just keep on making the same old news.
People talk about us, but what would they do without us? It's the same old
News. I just wanna love you, but it's got so much trouble.
I guess it's the same old, same old I just wanna love you in some old-fashioned way. Instead, we pick apart, for everything we say.
Oh, I would change my name.
What would you change it?
Anything for what it's worth.
But I don't think they'd find us anywhere at the corners of the earth. We just keep on making that same old
News.
I'm feeling overtired from being so hot wired. It's the
Same old news. Cause it's such a fuss, 'cause they want to knock us up.
well, ain't it a shame the way they exclaim, like being in love is something they want us to explain. But I guess it's the same old
News. Oh, let's move to an island 1,000,000 miles from shore.
At least until they build a tower where there wasn't one before.